Here we go. We are live, and this is the District 36 debate hosted by Schneps Media and PoliticsNY and the Brooklyn Library. Welcome, everyone. I'll give everyone a minute to settle in here. We have a live audience. We have candidates still joining. So please join us and welcome. So here we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome to PoliticsNY with Sky. Schneps Media is the only media outlet providing a platform for every single New York City Council candidate to have their voice heard and show their faces and personalities. Because at the end of the day, oops, I hear noise. At the end of the day, this is all about personality. That's what I've learned. This is Council District 36. That means I've moderated 36 debates and I've interviewed about 250 different candidates who are running for New York City office. And what I've learned is the voters want to know your personalities. That's the thing that's missing, that doesn't come across in paid media or by reading about your bio or reading about your platform. It's your personalities. So that's what this is. So welcome. This is District 36 in Brooklyn. This is a seat currently held by Robert Cornegy, who's running for Brooklyn Borough President. And this district covers Bed-Stuy and Northern Crown Heights. So today's debate can be more like a discussion. It depends on how you guys jive with one another. So we'll see if you guys like each other, if you don't like each other, because in some districts, I've found that a lot of the candidates work together and they really like each other. There's a lot of camaraderie. And in some districts, that's really not the case. So we'll feel that out tonight together with our live audience watching. And if anyone has a question that they want to submit, you can put it in the Q&A function and I'll try and incorporate them into the conversation. We'll try and keep this fast and fun. So I'll just ask that the candidates keep your answers short and sweet so that everyone gets more time to speak. And this is being recorded. You can watch it on politicsny.com/debates. All of our debates are there. And subscribe to our newsletter and do all that fun stuff. Schneps Media, PoliticsNY. So welcome to our candidates. I'm going to have each candidate tell us about themselves, but include in your, Reginald, there's a lot of noise. Gotta mute him again. I want everyone to tell us a little bit about your background, but what makes you the best candidate in this race? You know, you're all working towards the same goal, maybe to secure this seat. So we'll begin in alphabetical order, last name first. So Henry Butler goes first. You have 1 minute. Tell us about yourself, but include what makes you stand out here.
So you want me to do that in 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to do it in 1 minute. I'm Henry Butler, candidate for 36 Councilmatic District. I am a longtime Bedford-Stuyvesant resident, raised in the Tompkins houses, lived in the community for 49 years. I'm currently district manager for Community Board 3, the recently elected district leader for the 56th Assembly District. Before that, I was with the New York City Transit Authority for 14 years, conductor, also was an active member of my union, where I served as the Brooklyn political organizer and the shop steward. Before that, I worked with ACS, and then before that with the New York City Housing Authority. I have a long track record of accomplishments of delivering services to this district, getting funding for projects in this district. A couple of those projects when I was the chair of Board 3, getting elevators at the Utica Avenue train station, getting the Notion Avenue corridor reconstructed, also led the fight to save the B-25 bus service, and then most recently as a district manager, got funding after almost 20-something years for the new sanitation garage, and last but not least, finally got HPD to fund the Bedside Housing Initiative, which will build over 600 units of truly affordable housing based upon the income levels of the 36 Council District. So I feel that what most makes me unique is my long track record of working for city agencies and knowing how the budget process works and actually delivering services for this district.
Okay, thank you very much. And our next candidate to tell us about yourself and what makes you the best person here is Tahirah Moore.
Sorry, didn't unmute myself. Hello, I am, like she said, Tahirah Moore. born and raised in the 36th Council District. Like to say I'm a daughter of my district because I'm the district. I'm the daughter of the district raised literally. Born and raised in Marcy houses. And I can give you an array of accomplishments. And I can tell you about all the money, but let me speak from the heart here, because when you love your community and when you have a heart for your community, you want to take care of it. You want to make sure that it's okay. You want to make sure that their needs are met. You want to make sure they have access to the resources that are needed. And so when you look at me, you look at a girl that believes those that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And because I've lived a lot of the problems and the social justice ills, I fight. It motivates me to bring those services. It motivates me to bring those resources because I was without them. But my community was able to pull together to help me. And it would be a disservice if I didn't give back. So why do I think I am the candidate to be chosen for this district? Because I come with two things. Not that I wear a flower in my head, though I love my flower. Not that my Millie Rock is sturdy, because my Millie Rock is sturdy, Chi. But I also come with a heart and a will to co-govern, to close, bring resources, bring results. And I've shown that my whole life, put my heart on the floor, giving it all I got. And I spit a hot 16. So whoever want to battle hot 16 off the top, no beat with a beat, my rap skills is up to par. So let's go.
Wow, I would love to have a little rap battle if you got to keep this fun. Okay, thank you, Tahirah Moore. Next, Chi Ossé.
Thank you so much. My name is Chi Ossé. I'm a third-generation Brooklynite, activist, and co-founder of the activist nonprofit Warriors in the Garden. We led many of the protests last year at the heat of the Black Lives Matter movement, helped to repeal 50A and end qualified immunity here on the city council level. Jumped into this race for a myriad of reasons. You know, as a resident of this community, I'm sick and tired of seeing my neighbors pushed out of this neighborhood, whether through the increase in property taxes or the increase in rent prices. I think many electeds that have led this district, as well as candidates maybe here today, will love to tell you that the color of gentrification is white, but the color of gentrification is green. You know, when you follow the money of individuals that are running for office talking about affordable housing and reforming public safety, those are the same candidates that are following the wants and needs of those donors that are putting money in their pockets. What I'm bringing to this table is modern solutions for our modern problems. We need energy. We need individuals that will co-govern within our community to create the future of Bed-Stuy and North Crown Heights. We need individuals that will finally put people over profits, and individuals that actually live in this district and haven't run in districts before. We need people that truly care about this community, will truly finally get things done and not spew the same boring solutions, if we'll call them that, that hasn't helped people for as long as we can remember. I love talking about statistics. I love talking about the numbers. 13% of Black homeowners lost their homes over the past 20 years. Rents continue to skyrocket. 40% of Black businesses went out of business during this pandemic. The solutions that you're hearing from these people that are running time and time again aren't working. We need fresh, we need the future, and we need Chi for District 36.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Reginald Swiney in his candy shop.
Unfortunately, you're going to hear a little background noise. We had a family tragedy, so nevertheless, I will give you my personal background. I'm running for the 36th district because there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of that has not been taken care of for many years. What I bring to the table is an individual that has fought for a long time in the 36th district, actually fought longer than this young man was born. What I have done in the 36th district was I got rid of the drugs out of the library. We take care of our parks. I set up a lot of workforce initiative programs through my business. I have been fighting for the 36th district for a long time, but you know, you don't have to be on the camera. It's like being Peacock. I do things quietly. We hired more individuals than all of them combined on this stage. I keep hearing a lot of things about gentrification, loss of homes. That's across every district and every borough. My goal is to make sure that the voters pin these individuals down, not, sign bites, talk, beautiful websites, and every one of them is getting their money from special interest. You can't talk about anyone, young man, about money from special interest when most of your money comes from Manhattan. Today is my son's birthday. I want to shout him out. My son is 11 years old. He's half your age. And I'm quite sure the accomplishment that this young man has done, I hope and pray that you have that successful life leading up to 22 years old. And basically, it comes down to this. It's like you said earlier, Sky, it's character. It's who's going to do the right thing by the people. They all know that few of the people on this stage is part of the machine. Everyone knows that you have a young man and you have myself vying for this seat. But the goal will be this. Who has the fortitude, the grit, and the nerve to make sure that they fight for these construction jobs in the district? I can't tell you how many young men that came out of prison that my hands have touched. I can't tell you how many issues. I'm going to challenge each candidate to put on for Butler, you give me the last 10 years because Al Van installed you as the district leader and you're the current district manager. You're the only guy on this panel that ran for 2 districts.
Reginald,
Mr. Waterman,
we have to wrap up your introduction.
no problem, but I'm good with everything coming. You can mute me as I go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and last but not least on the debate stage here, and I just want to make it known that every single candidate on the ballot for District 36 was invited to this forum. So if anyone pops up, you're welcome to join if you're a candidate. So last but not least on the stage right now is Pastor Robert Waterman.
Hi, Sky. Thank you again. Welcome to all the candidates that's on this forum. I was ducking all those shots that were thrown out. So I'm gonna put on my armor right now. This is, so the question would be is who am I? I'm a devoted father, I'm a husband, candidate for the 36th district. For 20 years here at Antioch Baptist Church as a pastor and a community board member, I've been fighting for fair housing, seniors, police reform, meet monthly with NYPD 79 and 81st precinct. So those are conversations that we constantly have. Senior programs and dealing with senior centers and making sure that we actually touch everybody. I'm an educator. I've been in the public system for 6.5 years, teaching 5th grade math, getting our community to understand that District 16 is at the lowest level of the educational pool, and how in 40 years that we're still at the bottom. Our safety net hospitals. I'm the chairperson of the Interfaith Hospital. I'm the vice chair of One Brooklyn Health, and our safety net hospitals don't get the resources that it need. Thank God that they were around through COVID, because in that process of COVID as a trustee, I've touched so many people who dropped off their loved ones at the door, and I had to comfort and console. I had to open up my yard just to allow people to come to have an outdoor worship. We had to open up our fellowship hall to become a testing site. We tested over 1,000 people for antibodies. And then we turn around and partnership with the NYPD to pick up seniors from the senior housing and take them to the hospital in order for them to get the shot. Over 500 seniors that got the vaccination shot. So if there's anything that we should be talking about is what have we done for the community to make sure that the community stay alive. COVID has been a tractor trailer through this community. I was walking down the street and I introduced myself to one young man, and I'm closing. That's how preachers say, and I'm closing. And I introduced myself to a young man, he was in his 80s. And I said, listen, my name is Robert Waterman, and I'm running for city council. He looked at me and he said, young man, why are you running? You need to start walking. And I realized at that moment that I've been walking through this community for 20 years to lift up our youth, walking to lift up our seniors, making sure that if the school system was not the part, we develop after school programs. And I could go on and on and on and tell you the things that I've done. But one thing I can surely tell you, that I live here, I own here, and I pastor here.
Awesome. Thank you. And these are our candidates right now. If any other candidates join, you're welcome to show your face on the screen. And I want to say an extra thank you to the Brooklyn Public Library, who is our partner in this initiative. They are working with us to promote voter education and engagement for the 2021 local elections. It's a community effort. So now let's go in the same order with Henry Butler first. And I want to hear, the voters want to hear, the number one issue that you're most passionate about when it comes to District 36, and what's special about you to get the job done in fixing that one specific issue. Oops. Sorry, I hit unmute at the same time as you.
Yes, you muted me back.
Sorry.
No problem. The number one issue that has been facing this district has been affordable housing. You know, everybody has seen the gentrification that has happened, and contrary to what the opponent said, it is about color also. It's not just about green, but it's about green, black, and white. And let's just be real about that. Because when others move from other communities and come here because they could not afford to live in Manhattan, or they could not afford to live in Williamsburg anymore. So they said, I'm going to go to the next best neighborhood, which is going to be Bedford-Stuyvesant. So when they come to Bedford-Stuyvesant, okay, and then they're willing to pay an extra $300 to $400 to $500 rent, that causes gentrification. That's not Black people doing that. That's not Black people moving from the Upper East Side or trying to move from Park Slope because they were priced out to come here, okay? So let's be real. So it is about green, but it's about black and white also. Just go to Von King Park and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now, what makes me uniquely qualified for that? Because as a member of the community board, several projects have come through Community Board 3 that we were able to negotiate to make sure that we got those projects funded and to make sure that those units were going to be at the income levels of residents of CB3. For example, 1921 Atlantic Avenue, that's going up right now. That's going to be from 30% to 100% AMI. To put it in numbers, you're going to have apartments as low as $500 for a studio. 1620 Fulton Street, which was done by a minority developer. Once again, another project where you're going to have projects, units as low as $500 to $600 for studios, 1 bedrooms that you can get. Another one, 565 Gates Avenue, project that came through CB3 that we made sure not only was it a low income project, but we also made sure that 50% of the units would go to CB3 residents. Normally HPD does 30%. So yes, the number one issue is housing, affordable housing to be precise. And I have a background of getting affordable units in CB3 for CB3 residents and for Central Brooklyn residents as a whole.
Great, answered the question. Thank you. Next, Tahirah Moore, the number one issue and what makes you uniquely qualified to solve that issue in your district.
Number one issue for me is gun violence. You're speaking to a young woman born and raised in her district, Marcy Houses, that 36 of my friends and family have been gunned down in my district. We can talk about housing, we can talk about a whole lot of things, but if people fear for their lives, if people are losing their family members, you are going to see an exodus. So we can't keep looking at people as numbers. They're actually human beings. And I know the pain of gun violence and how it rips through a community. I know the lack of mental health services that are not provided. When communities actually experience those types of tragedies, they need those services and they didn't have access to them. We've had leaders here that brag about being here for 15 to 20 years and still have not been able to help to mitigate, nor did they even care. And I know it because they didn't show up at the funerals that I was at. They didn't help bring services to the families that I was at. And I speak from the heart here because gun violence in the 36 council districts, and respectfully, the 36 council district is not just CB3, it is CB8 as well. And it is a small part of Community Board 2. It is Bedford-Stuyvesant and Northern Crown Heights. And what makes me special on this issue, not just because I experienced the pain, Sky, because I have, not because I have cried the tears, been to the funeral, Sky, but because that pain compelled me to get to work in my community and co-govern with my community so that we solidified $10 million for our Cure Violence group, our crisis management system in our district. And I always will give their names. That is SOS Bed-Stuy, that is Man Up Bed-Stuy, and that is SOS Crown Heights that covers our district. And I'm also calling for a $200 million investment so that we can increase capacity, because there's 5 boroughs that when you're a council member, you address your district, but you also sit on citywide committees. And there are 5 boroughs, and gun violence is prevalent in our city. I want to make sure that we have our community partners, our crisis management group, ready and able to service the community. So $10 million invested, $200 million call, got a robust plan how to address hotspots, got a robust plan of job resources, educational resources. We want jobs for guns. We want education for the guns. We want to make sure that we bring real services to the community so that we can stop our residents' lives from being lost. Innocent children, 1-year-olds gunned down in parks, 12-year-olds gunned down walking down the street, seniors shot in the face in our district. We can't keep ignoring this issue. It is a real issue, and families need services. I'm present at their houses, just like I'm present at the funerals, and I'm present at City Hall, and I'm present in the City Council, advocating continuously for crisis management groups and for those families to get the services that they need.
Thank you, Tahirah Moore. Now next, Chi Ossé, your #1 issue and what makes you the best person to be elected to solve that issue in your district.
Absolutely. I would just have to reiterate that it is affordable housing. It's so easy to not say that the green part of gentrification is not a big deal when you're the individual that's taking that money. My grandmother came here from Haiti. She's a 95-year-old Haitian woman. The amount of times that she tells me that strangers approach her home, asking her to sell her home through third-party transfer or deed theft is ridiculous. And her story is not alone. The amount of tenants that approach me in my office telling me about how high their rents are increasing year after year because of these large developments that are being built that aren't truly affordable for people within this community is so hard for me to hear. And I can't imagine how hard it is for them to live it. During this pandemic, when our homeowners were threatened with Local Law 152 and the sprinkler bill, they approached my office and we staged multiple forums to tell people what they could do throughout the situation so that they did not have to pay for these large fees that would have affected them through displacement during a hard time during this pandemic. While some people here might parrot the words of Councilmember Jerome or Councilmember Cornegie, we put forward solutions that those 2 council members are including within those local bills to keep our homeowners safe. When Hope Street Capital was approaching the Hebron School, a local landmark a couple blocks away from me, to displace multiple of our neighbors, to get rid of 36,000 green space within our district, I rallied with my neighbors, advocated and testified against those developers, and I'm continuing to raise money for the lawsuit against those developers. These are the actions that we are doing right now during this pandemic to help our neighbors now. An issue that I'm tired of here in government is how reactive it is. We need leaders that are proactive when people have solutions prior to them having those solutions. Not having money tied to our city government is a first step to creating a district that we all want to live in. Again, downplaying the money is ridiculous. You know, we're seeing Bed-Stuy in North Crown Heights sold out year after year through third-party transfer, through deed theft, through these developments that are being built, also creating rats in our streets because it's unsustainable housing. It's absolutely ridiculous. When I'm in office, I'm going to reimagine the ULURP process. We need to heavily implement a racial impact study whenever developments are being built within this district. I'm not anti-development. I'm anti-unsustainable development. We need to make sure that the AMI is lowered by calling on the federal government, as well as also implementing different living wage calculators to make sure that we're providing true affordable housing for the people within this community. But it can't be done when we have individuals that are in power that are tied to these entities that are putting money within their pockets. Again, I want to just bounce off of what another candidate said. I have the most in-district donors here. I do have the most amount of donors within Brooklyn. I don't know where that number from Manhattan came from. And that's because people are seeing what we're doing for this community. They're coming to us instead of the community board, instead of the council member even, for solutions, and we're providing that. I'm not running against individuals in this race. I'm running for a job. And while I'm running for that job, I'm doing that job. And this community recognizes that, and I'm not doing it being tied to these corporate entities that don't have special interests for this community.
Now, I sense some tension, which we can address in the next round of questions where I'll have you guys attack each other. No, I'll have you ask questions to one another. But for now, let's focus on key issue and what makes you the best person.
Excuse me, am I going to be able to
Yes.
answer that question?
Yes, Reginald, you are up next, right on time.
All right. Nevertheless, I've heard a lot right there within the three candidates, and it's kind of funny because in 2013, we had a huge voter population in Bed-Stuy. People move on, they sell their homes, they go, they retire, they do things that, you know, they had a great investment, so they move on. You get a little bit of gentrification, but gentrification comes from all walks. But what was really shocking to me is hearing certain individuals on this platform state all of the things that are bad, or all of the things that they're doing, but we're surrendering tons of affordable housing, the Louis Armstrong housing, the public housing, NYCHA. None of them are addressing all of the issues that have anything to do with those particular homes. Sorry about the background noise. Nevertheless,
Reginald, is your number one issue then affordable housing?
no, my number one issue is quality life. My
Okay,
number one issue is going to be quality life, and that's a host of things. I heard about gun violence. I'm hearing about affordable housing. I'm hearing about all of the things that they are going to base their platform on. But I would like to see my 10-point plan is going to be up on my website. You're going to get a view of every single issue that matters. And under that quality of life initiative, it covers all these things. We have an individual, like let's take Butler for a minute. You were the district manager, now you were the district leader. You ran for 2 different districts. And that's baffling. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but my number one thing will be this. I'm going to make sure that the voters pick someone that's done the work. You know, we're doing a public library forum. I'm the founder of a public library friends group. They were selling heroin, we got it out. It's no longer the case. You know, the community board's got good different segments of the community board. They do very well, but for too long, that we've had the game played. These developers come into our district, they come to the community board, they have our game. They know what to say. I'm Mr. Waterman. I'm understanding, I mean, you know, it may not be fair, but I like to know who you're supporting for judgeship, because we have a judge coming out of so-called machine out of Bed-Stuy. And I mean, you may be supporting someone that may be against our best interest, because that individual, that judge position has a lot to do with affordable housing, has a lot to do with the deed theft. It has a lot to do with a lot of the things that has plagued our district for decades. We have to figure out, well, I'm thinking I'm getting short on time. I like this guy, but they spoke a long time. But if it's your show, I'll be relaxed. But like I stated, I have a 10-point plan. I'm not playing in this. This is not a game for me. I'm against $700,000 on this panel. I'm here. I'm putting up the posters. I'm going to be doing my mailing. I have a track record in the 36th district. I have watched each and every one of them. Mrs. Moore was Carnegie's chief of staff, Balazi surrogate. So when everybody talks about, and gun violence, let me tell you something about gun violence. This past Friday, while I was posting while I was posting posters, I walked into a shooting, an aftermath, a scene. We're going to get a grip of that. But it's not going to be putting $200 million in an organization, 10 million. It's going to be the ATF and calming down these gun plays and worried about families. Thank you.
Thank you. We can get into all these issues together afterwards. Let's hear from Pastor Robert Waterman about your number one issue, sir, and how you are the best guy to fix it.
I was going to talk about the housing piece, but I think Mr. Butler for talking about it, because I am on a community board. So we develop affordable housing. I would talk about the gun violence, but when NYPD do have a gun violence, I get the call. I've buried people, I've consoled people and comfort people through the gun violence. So I'm gonna shift it and I'm gonna go to what I've been doing in the community is with the small businesses. I'm a business owner, not just a pastor. I'm a small business owner. I own a property with a storefront. It's called a sober lounge. And I understand the needs of the small businesses and know the important role that small businesses play in the building up of our community. COVID-19 have destroyed the businesses. About 30% of the businesses have left and is vacant, a lot of vacancy. So what do? As a small business owner myself, I didn't just sit back, but I went to each small business, started handing out PPEs and sanitizers to keep the district safe. Not only I did that, but also I provided the small businesses with information. Some of our Black and brown businesses did not have the information that the Department of Transportation was constantly changing week after week in order for them to have outdoor dining. And I gave them the information because, again, they went to those who thought that they could get the information, but they were told to close, but they did not want to close because it's like a dream. You don't shut down somebody's dream. And so that's why I supported them. I helped them through their crisis. And I believe as I continue through even the sanitation piece, then we do block cleaning. That means we went down Nostrand Avenue and Fulton and other areas, and we begin to sweep up the garbage. Last week, I picked up 2 big racks that was laid out in the street because nobody would pick it up. But we did the block cleaning because sanitation was not doing their job. So as a council member, my experience itself allows me to be a part of all these committees, from sanitation to small business to housing, because I myself, I have a house that I've brought. And what I did is that members of my church could not afford. So I opened up my house and gave them shelter at a minimum rent, not trying to make no money, just covering the costs. And with that itself, I went into food security to make sure that our seniors, from box meal to hot meal, partnershiping with small businesses who wanted to give back during this pandemic. I think that the only way that we can select a candidate is somebody who does not have to go in to learn, but somebody who's actually been leading. Thank you, Scott.
Great, thank you. And now we can have more of a discussion where each of you can ask each other a question. And I just want to say again that the voters are really here to watch, to see your character, as Reginald mentioned, to see your personality. So, you know, I know there were some digs thrown, but I'll leave it to you, Henry, if you want to go with the first question to one of your candidates, and then that candidate can respond and then ask a question to someone else for the same person.
I'm gonna be first the whole time?
No, we can go in reverse order next.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what you get for having the letter B.
I know. You know, well, listen, I'm here to talk about the issues. I'm not really here to, you know, get any got you questions or go negative or anything like that on anyone. So I'm really not comfortable, you know, asking, you know, that sort of question, but I'll do it.
You can ask something. What's your mom's name? You know, you can ask. You can be creative.
I would say, well, let me ask the Revs. I know the Revs gonna get an honest answer. I'll go to the Rev. As a longtime member of Community Board 3, can you name for me one of the accomplishments of your committee that you serve on? You the chair of the Religion Committee, and I believe before that you was the chair of the Transportation Committee. Can you name me an accomplishment that was done while you was the chair of one of those committees?
With the Ecumenical Committee, we have engaged the pastors in our community who was afraid to get involved in the political process. And knowing that the members that sit in their congregation are the same members who suffer from housing, the same members who suffer from job loss, the same members who suffer from healthcare. And so what I did is I became the president of the African American Clergy Elected Official Organization, which is an organization that actually brings together CBOs of our community, community-based organization, pastors, and elected officials. And at these meetings, we ask them, the elected officials, to give an account for the things that they were supposed to do for the community. Things as resources from capital spending, resources for programming. So those were all the stuff that I've done, and I continue to chair that organization monthly to make sure that there's some conversation. Bedford-Stuyvesant and North Crown Heights is at to a point where one don't even know what district they're in. If you go to North Crown Heights, they think that they're in the 35th council district. Some of them over there on Grand Street don't know that the lines have been cut and orchestrated based upon the desire of elected officials. So for me as a pastor who's been a part of this system over 20 years, I've begun to connect people. That was one of the main things that I've did. With the transportation, as part of the transportation, we were fighting to change names like Sonny Carson. And we got a pushback from Christine Quinn because she felt that Sonny Carson was radical. But if you actually look across the Brooklyn and look at names like Jefferson and other names who were slaveholders, then we would ourselves would rethink about when you bring a name up that represents the Black community, you don't downgrade it, you include it. Thank you. I see your hand, Scott.
So now, yes, Pastor, please pose a question to another one of your competitors here.
It's a simple thing. Mr. Henry Butler, what district do you live in?
Oh, that's a simple question and a simple answer. Currently, I am in the 41st Councilmatic District, a half a block out of the 36th. I was raised in the 36th Council District. I am the district manager, Community Board 3, which covers all of the 36th Council District. I am the district leader of the 56th Assembly District, which is 75% of the 36th Council District. And I've been in Bedford-Stuyvesant for 49 years. So yes. So I think if anybody's more of I don't know if anybody's more of the 36th Council District than I am, from my job as district leader, my job as district manager, and just being raised in the Tompkins houses, which is where I was raised at.
Now,
So yes.
I thought you had to live in the district that you.
So let me answer that. The rules are, the law is you have to be in the district 5 days before the November election. So this is really an irrelevant question. 5 days before the November election. Now, if I was someone coming from Canarsie or someone coming from Park Slope, I could understand that question. But as someone who was been in Bed-Stuy for 49 years, as someone, once again, district manager, district leader in Bedford-Stuyvesant 36th Council District, the question is an irrelevant question because I'm literally a half a block out. And the rules are you have to be in the district 5 days before the November election.
So then will you move?
Of course, you have to move.
Okay, so you're planning to move.
All I have to do is move a half a block.
Okay.
So Sky, I want to just do a follow up. Because he works in the 36, very small, he works in the 36. He did a lot of work in my district. I thank him for that. But from an economic perspective, he takes the money out of the 36 into the 41.
I don't understand how that happens.
We don't profit off of his job in the 36.
The
36 lose because he has to go back to the 41.
I don't understand that because
that's where he pays his rent.
Because a lot of I actually own.
I have to look into that. I want to move on. You know, we only have 20 minutes left. So that's yes. To hear more, you want to ask a question to one of your competitors here.
Do we have to ask a question to one of my competitors? I don't even see them as competitors. We're all residents that live here.
Okay, one of your friends, to one of our friends.
Not all residents that live here. Not all residents that live here.
But I want to do say, because you said personality and character, and I gotta let my Marcy projects come out here, so keep it a buck and $1.50 and a half. Don't come for me unless I send for you. Now, I was not Councilmember Carnegie's chief of staff. Her name was Stephanie Zinnerman. And if all of you that do know Butler, Waterman, y'all know that to be a fact. That was not Tahirah Moore. Tahirah Moore served as Director of Constituent Services in the community that she was born and raised, from Flushing Avenue all the way down to Sterling, St. John, in Crown Heights, serving this whole district with her heart. And when you hear my name in this district, you hear my name for deliverables, you hear my name for money, you hear my name for keeping it real. Tahirah Moore is born and raised in Marcy houses. Tahirah worked in the 36th district and moved over. When I got promoted, I was legislative director and budget director. I worked in the mayor's office, since we need to run my resume, because this Black girl here put in work, and you will salute my gangster. I put in work here. I went to the mayor's office and I was the Brooklyn Borough director. And then when I did that work well, I got promoted and became a senior advisor in the Intergovernmental Affairs Unit. Both of my parents were on drugs. My father died of AIDS, but I stood 10 toes down and I pushed through all of that to serve my community, the community that raised me. So when you come for me correct and have your facts correct, because I'm gonna stand my ground and I'm gonna tell you to your face, you want my reputation, then you need to walk in my shoes. I serve my district and will serve whether I win in this race or not, because my heart is real and my heart is pure. My donations, it's public. My donations is not special interest. Most of my donations are from NYCHA residents, because that's where I'm born and raised. Most of my donations are from in my district, my co-workers and my family members. No special interest. That's public information. Look it up. So again, don't come for Tahirah unless I send for you. And if you come for Tahirah correct.
There we go, setting the record straight. Ossé, do you want to ask a question to one of your friends here on the screen?
Sure. You know, as a 15-year-old, I had to take the subway to school, and I remember being stopped and frisked by police officers because they thought I was over the age of 18. This summer, you know, as one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter protests, I've witnessed men, women, and children beat, pepper sprayed by the NYPD. Many of these actions were defended by the PBA, the Police Benevolent Association here in New York City, the police union, led by Pat Lynch. Mr. Butler, can you speak to why you accepted over $5,000 by the PBA in your 2017 run in the district that you are living in, and why people should trust your leadership when you've accepted money from an organization that has endorsed President Donald Trump, both in 2016 and in 2020?
Correct. Make sure I was unmuted. That was 2017. We are in 2021 that we are in. I will not be lectured by a young man when, as a 54-year-old, I myself was stopped and frisked throughout my lifetime. As someone who grew up in the Tompkins houses, thrown up against the wall, coming out of my own building, okay? Stopped by the police when I was driving with my son because they thought that my son, who was only 11 at the time, was a grown man, I guess. They thought I was some illegal taxi driver. So yeah, I took that back in 2017. I have several friends who are officers and some are retired officers. Okay, so I can't control who chooses to give to me or not give to me, which was back in 2017. But I've been out there long. I have been out there long before you.
Over
$5,000. I have been out there long before you fighting against police brutality. I have been out there long before you fighting for accountability from the PBA. And yes, the PBA is an issue and concern now, but I'm not ashamed to say I work with the 81 precinct. I am not ashamed to say I work with the 79th precinct when there are issues going on in the district. Okay, because we're not going to solve it on our own. You have to learn to sit down and have conversations with people, even those that you may disagree with. You have to learn. You ask the question, I'm answering your question. You ask the question, I'm answering the question. You have to sit down with those, even who you may disagree with, to get things done.
But you do not need to
sit down with those who we disagree with. We will not get things done.
But you do not need to accept their money. You need to accept
so you can keep saying that. You can keep saying that. But like I said, you have to sit with those to get things done.
But you do not have
we want to deal with the crime and the issues in our community. We have to deal with the police. We have to deal with the 8-1. We have to deal with the 7-9. We have to deal with PSA 3. Okay. So if you're not sitting with them, how are we gonna get these issues resolved? It's not. It takes more than just community people standing out there on a corner saying we're taking back our streets. Because at the end of the day, when the gunshots are going off, we need the police to come and deal with that. At the end of the day, when young people are getting killed, we need the police to come and deal with that. Okay, I'm 54. I grew up during the crack era. I got plenty of friends who have died, who are dead now, 6 feet under, because of going up through that crack era. When we had no police force, when the police were not protecting our community, and we had to fight to get the police to protect our community, because as we like to say, Black lives do matter. Even when we're killing ourselves, Black lives do matter. Okay, so no, I will not be lectured by you when I've been out there long before you, fighting for accountability from the NYPD.
That's an ageist claim to say that I'm lecturing you when I'm asking you a question.
And I answered your question. Now, I may not have answered the way you wanted me to answer
no,
but I did answer your question.
Let's not waste all the time with this.
It's the job of the city council, obviously.
Come on now, I've been getting short on time. And
That's
it's
true.
the job of the city
Thank
council
you.
to form bonds with these.
Thank you, guys.
Accepting money, accepting over $5,000 and not refunding that money.
Can you mute these guys and let's get on?
Okay.
You did not answer the question. You could have refunded the $5,000 that you took in 2017 by a Donald Trump endorsed organization.
Mute them.
Thank you. I know. No, I don't want to be like mean.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Reginald, it's your turn.
10 minutes on that? No problem.
Wasn't 10 minutes.
I'm taping it and I'm recording, but nevertheless, how you guys doing? That was nice. That was really nice. And I discovered a few things. Mrs. Moore, we had our facts probably not correct, and I apologize. No one's coming for you, but I wish everybody would stop tearing down my posters. Okay, Mr. Butler, Waterman, are you two guys kidding me? Butler, you don't live in the district? You are the first district leader that put a district in jeopardy of losing its district with the lowest census numbers ever. Mr. Waterman, I hung out with your staff members. They were kind of fun that day after that last debate, which I still haven't seen. But Mr. Waterman, we call you the John McCain of small business. The community board vote on liquor license, which is the most important piece of a restaurant's budget, you vote thumbs down, no matter what. And, you know, gentrification is interesting because when someone can approach a church and get them to sell their property, which is a non-for-profit, we're going to end that. I may be in a candy shop, but I'm in a real estate office. My family has that. And I'm so disappointed with that. And then we're going to talk about interfaith with you two guys. And I know where you've been at, Mrs. Moore, and no one's coming at you. Let's be a little professional because I'm going to tell you guys something. This is one of the most important city council seats across the city. And if you look at the policy that was left for minority businesses, we've been fighting and fighting and fighting. We have a mess. We're locked out of supply chains, that we spend more money as a race, and we deal with the gunplay. I'm not putting $200 million nowhere. I have too many families with young folks. I'm starting from 12 up, because if you ever trained anybody, if you ever offered people jobs, you will know that the families are suffering because what are we going to do with our young men? I sat on that NAB 3 board where Bridge Street and all of the non-for-profits that do the work that don't get the funding, but they chew up all the money. Whoa.
Do you have a question, a specific question?
I will get to that. My question is this. Ossé, I commend you for getting in a race like this. Perfect opportunity for you. And Mr. Jordan, that they knocked off the ballot, or maybe he's running on another ticket. My question to everyone here is the construction and the development is not stopping. It is going to roll down this district. I see $1 billion in the next 6 years. The policing of the district is going to change. I'll put this out to any one of them, and you can follow up later on your website, but I have 7 videos coming out, and it's one for everyone. My question is, how are you guys going to deal with the illegal construction, the neighbor-to-neighbor complaints about construction, and the construction that is going up? Because Mr. Butler, you took credit for the sanitation garage, but Nelson Stout was the one. I don't know what was in the pipeline, Mrs. Moore, for us, the senior centers that you're saying you're bringing deliverables and all that. So the question goes out to all of them is, gee, we'll give you a pass because you're a great young man. But I want to ask the other three that been around, that been in government, and Butler, for me to find out today that you're not a resident of the 36, I get it why you ran in both, because we're going to lose our district line because of the censor, and I didn't see nothing. And you answer this, everyone. What are you going to do about the construction? How are you going to get people to work? Where are your plans for the construction? Because I'm a construction contractor, I'm an electrician, I'm an activist. I wrote policy. I've been there, and I went up to Albany City Council and gave everybody help. But I don't see the quality of life. I want to ask you guys about the construction that's going to take place. How are you going to do anything? Butler, you got off the last Zoom. Excuse me, Shai. You got off the Zoom about the sanitation garage because when I logged on, you logged off. Let us hear what you guys are going to do about getting this district back together, getting people to work, and don't even go healthcare, because you know how I do with healthcare. I built them and we saved them.
So listen, does anyone want to answer this construction question? No one wants
They
to.
have no experience. You cannot answer that.
It was so much. I don't know what the question was.
Let's go with you saying last week. Let's talk about the sanitation garage. Let's talk about, you asked Waterman about being on the community board and the committees that arise. I have not seen a meet and greet under your watch for any construction project. And I have not seen any of the institutions that get public funds, get money into Bed-Stuy, where they have an MWBE list of contractors. I've met wonderful engineers, white, black, purple, and orange. What is your stand, and how are you going to make sure you're not in our district, so I guess that's probably why you didn't do it. But let's get anyone on the panel to answer, what are they going to do about the construction and job creation? Because I got a bottom-up plan, and I hire youth and I train them.
Does anyone want to answer Reginald's question?
I'm just going to respond to Reginald because he did say my name, and just to anyone else that has brought this up. I mean, the ageist comments that I've been experiencing tonight are outrageous. To any young people that are watching tonight, vote for the future. You know, these same people that some of them that you're hearing from tonight are selling out our future for other individuals and private interests. Don't let people that say you're too young or lecturing them when you're just asking a question to demean you when you are running for your community that made you the person.
You're not being demeaned, young man. You're not being demeaned, sir.
Let me address.
No, excuse me. My son is 11 years old. Excuse me. My son is 11 years old, and he will be working.
You asked him to ask a question. He asked the question to colleagues that he is running against his race. He has every right to ask that question because he was given the instruction to do that. He has been attacked for his age, just like I've been attacked because I'm the only woman here. It does need to be ordered, and Mr. Swiney should not be allowed to go all over the place and run rampant with his questions and his accusations. We need to have structure here.
So even with that, of all the questions that Swiney have asked, he's still talking and he's not listening. We don't hear you, Swiney. You're muted. So
I just saw a go back and forth with you guys asking each other pretty packed questions. Mr. Waterman, why don't you stand on why you vote against liquor license?
Listen, Swiney, it's not a. I got it. Thank you, Sky. I got it. So Swiney asks a lot of questions. He comes to the board meeting. Yes, he's in construction, but construction is not the end and all of everything. We know development is happening in our community, but we also know that homelessness is rising just as quick as development. So if we look at our constituents, we got 48% of our single parenting that are living in transitional shelter houses. That means we're unstable, Swiney. Yes, there needs to be something done for the development piece. City council members have that access for land use. So that means Robert Carnegie gave the okay, or the borough president have that switch to say, okay, for the land use. So you're asking candidates, what will we do differently than those who allow developers to come in with no accountability on affordable housing and also for for MWBs, for Black and Black women organizations that have constructed, even like yourself. I've saw you at many of our forums, and every time there's a developer that comes, you would ask them, what are they doing with hiring minorities? Yes, that is a point. Okay. I got you, bro. I got you.
Yeah,
so
but Mr. Waterman, what about the church?
Church, I'm going there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Your time is up, bro. I got the time out. Let me finish with him. Okay.
Yes, I want to hear.
Okay. I'll tag.
Sorry.
Wait, but the borough president's position is advisory. City council land use decision, once they vote, is binding, and so is the city planning commission. Borough president level is advisory.
I mean, just to answer the question, I mean, I would build opportunities and trades for those construction sites, work to stabilize the gig and creative economy, continue to expand debt relief programs, STEM workshops for youth, and adults, use my platform to champion corridors. Again, I'm not anti-development. I am pro sustainable development, and that cannot be done when you are tied to these opportunistic, greedy real estate developers that only have money on their minds rather than the interests of our working class here in the 36th district.
And we've already
Can I
started.
say that
Just
a
what I
lot
just
of the
want to say one thing,
development?
Butler. Let me
Go
say one thing. We've already started. We have a program called Dreams Builder, where we take young people who are having issues with the law. They come into this program for construction, Mr. Reginald, and they get their GED. It was operated out of Antioch Baptist Church. We picked it up because Settlement House didn't want to deal with the program. So we took the program and it's stored right here in Bedford-Stuyvesant to help our youth get into construction. That means they do apprentice and they have worked on buildings and they do from.
Mr. Waterman, you was at Medgar, excuse me, you was at Medgar Evers College, Mr. Waterman, and there was a program for young men to get into that program. And what listen to me. The base is very simple. Do you have a track record proving the fact that not for grant money, not for the seed money, for changing people's lives? I have a sanitation commissioner.
Brother, you just don't understand my 20 years of changing people's lives.
Okay, everyone.
There's 20 years of experience, 2 decades of changing people's lives from the ground up, from drug abuse, alcohol.
But why do you vote against? Why do you vote against? Why do you vote against liquor licenses?
You guys. Sorry, I've never had to do this before. Muting you. We're going to wrap up. We have 3 minutes left, and now I'm just going to give everyone a chance to give their concluding statement, to leave voters with final thoughts and feelings from you as a candidate. And we'll go in reverse this time. So, Mr. Waterman.
Well, to answer the question about the liquor license, I didn't want him to drink so much, so I had to vote against that. But here it goes. As an organizer, community activist, I stood, I worked, I fought with our workers and what we did for living wages. We could go all the way back when it was dealing with the $10 to lift it up to $10. We're at $15 now. But I rallied, I organized community leaders to support working families for the last 2 decades. Okay. So come June 22nd, vote Robert Waterman, a worker that gets the job done and a leader that this district needs. First choice.
Thank you. Now, Reginald, 30 seconds to just give your final thought.
Well, basically, my goal would be this. I have some seniors in our district that need a whole lot of attention. We need to get them, make sure that they don't get left behind in technology. I have a serious concern about mental health. There's no more walking past a black man laying on the street in the front of a subway system. I opened my mouth about Nostrand Ave because they were so praising that they opened up the final gate, but yet they never cleaned the stations. We have a serious problem with our small business. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get rid of the rats. We're gonna make these store owners accountable, and we're getting bikes off the sidewalks. And let me tell you about the gun play. It's gonna be a choice. Do you wanna get into this bottom-up program where to help you start your own business? And I'm not putting $200 million into no convention program where we have people suffering and they need money to start their company.
Thank you. Okay, Chief, your final thoughts for the voters.
Absolutely. When our community came to us about the COVID crisis, we provided PPE and signed up over 1,000 seniors to get vaccinations. When people were facing evictions at the first of the month, we put out an expansion program to teach people about the one-shot deal. When our NYCHA developments in Sumner houses didn't have heat since July, we set up a 20-week food distribution service to many of those houses. I'm not running against these other people. I'm running for the job while doing the job. And we've been doing it during this pandemic. We can't do these same solutions from these same politicians that are accepting money from these private interests. We need individuals that are tied to our community that will co-govern with our community, that will bring us at the decision-making table. And we need the future for this community because we're dealing with modern problems and we need modern solutions.
Thank you. Tahirah Moore, your final thoughts for the voters.
Thank you so much, Sky, for this opportunity. My final thoughts is this. We are at a very important crux in our city, and we can't keep doing things the same way, expecting a different result. We need paradigm shifting, and Tahirah Moore is a paradigm shifter. When Marcy Houses for 20 years been asking for a community center because I was one of the children that was put out of that community center. It took me to become an adult to work to get that community center back. We removed the police station out of Marcy Houses and built a state-of-the-art community center where kids are now learning STEM coding, growing their own organic foods in a state-of-the-art kitchen. Paradigm shifting that is getting results. This little Black girl that grew up in Marcy Houses is back in her community, building, developing, and making sure that the services are here. Weeksville Heritage Center in Dire Straits fundraisers every year. Now it's a cultural institutions group. This little Black girl from NYCHA grew up in this community and was able to solidify that. Why? Because I'm closest to the problem, so I'm closest to the solution. And if you want to talk about city-wide reach, let's go over to making sure the crisis management groups around the city were funded. That is not just random people. Those are community leaders, credible messengers in our community that throw their lives between an individual and a gun to protect their community. They are Harriet Tubman types. So I won't allow them to be disrespected on this Zoom. I will stand up for them because you know what? They stand up for us in our community. And I will be that voice because part of being a council member is advocating for each and every person in the community and making sure they have the services that they need to do the job. So when you look at Tahirah on June 22nd, when you see my name, you're gonna vote number one. You're gonna vote number one for a closer. You're gonna vote number one for a deliverer. You're gonna vote number one for a person that knows how to cut through government red tape and bring the deliverables and the money to the district like I've been doing all along. Check my track record. It's all public. I'm a closer. I'm a paradigm shifter. I get the job done.
Thank you. And finally, Henry Butler, your final thoughts for the voters.
Thank you, Scott. I've been doing the work for this community, my community, for over 30 years, not just for 1 year. We talk about developers. 2 of our projects were done by MWBE developers, 1620 Fulton and 1921 Atlantic Avenue, done by developers who built affordable housing. Okay, affordable housing. That's actually doing something. You can quote all you want, but a studio for $600 is affordable. Okay, a 1-bedroom for $750 is affordable because it was based upon the income levels of this community. All right, I didn't wake up one day and say, you know, I'm gonna do some Black Lives Matter march, and now I think I should run for city council. Okay, I've been doing this for 30 years, getting tangible results, things that affect people's lives on a day-to-day basis, stuff you can touch and feel. Okay, we all been doing the work. To sit and brag about, oh, I'm feeding people. We all were feeding people during COVID time. I was out there beginning of March when it was at its highest, running with the councilman who had COVID and I had to take the food for him. I risked getting COVID from him and feeding my people in the Tompkins houses. So to sit up here and brag about, oh, I was feeding people. We all fed people on this panel. We've all done the work, but you know what? We've all done it for more than 1 year and didn't have the arrogance to think I do work for 1 year and now I should be the next councilman. Ladies and gentlemen, these are serious times that we are in. These are very serious times that we are in that require experienced leadership, those who have dealt with the budget, those who have negotiated with the budget. Leadership matters. And during a time of crisis, experienced leadership really matters. Thank you.
Thank you for the work you've done in District 41.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Butler.
guys. Thank you.
Hey, can we continue?
Community
We
Board
don't-
3, brother. District 36, Community Board 3.
You guys, thank you to the panelists, the candidates. Good luck to all of you. Thanks for being part of this healthy, robust discussion to
In
educate.
case you
the
didn't know,
public.
Community Board 3 covers the 36th district. I'm not sure if you know that. That's what it covers.
Thank
And
you.
part of the 41st.
And
Okay.
we thank you to our partners at the Brooklyn Public Library who are working with us to promote voter education and engagement for the 2021 local elections. On behalf of Schneps Media, PoliticsNY, I'm Sky, and I wish you all peace and happiness.
Thank
as we
you.
get to the primary. Thank
And,
you.
we're gonna, and ladies and gentlemen of the district, we all care.
Reginald.
We love you. We
Good.
care. We care.
Bye.